Welcome to another episode of The Inquisitive Analyst. I'm your host, Marcus Udikang. And as you know, it's a show where we chat about business analysis and project management issues and the challenges and triumphs within those fields. It's certainly inspiring, informative, and very much inquisitive. Today is a bit different. I have an educational content specialist from Mentimeter. And if you haven't heard about Mentimeter, it's a cloud app that allows you to build presentations, but not just that. It allows for interactive polls, you can analyze trends, you can create surveys and quizzes, and certainly much more to help enhance your presentations as a business analyst or a project manager. Really, Mentimeter allows you to better engage with your audience. So please help me welcome to today's show, joining us from Stockholm County, Sweden, Oscar Svernlov. I hope I pronounced your surname properly, Oscar?
Yeah, almost on the money. It's Oscar Svernlöv in Swedish.
Svernlov. All right, Svernlov. Oscar Svernlov.
There you go.
Splendid. Well, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much, Marcus. And what an introduction to Mentimeter. I think you totally nailed what we do and how we can help create better presentations and more inclusive meetings.
Splendid. Now, we're going to use today's show to get a better understanding of how Mentimeter works, and you'll probably have some samples for us. But let's first start out with asking how you got involved with Mentimeter.
So it's actually funny because there's two parts to my involvement in Mentimeter. And the first one started many years ago, actually, when I was teaching Swedish. I worked for a company here in Stockholm, and what we did was we taught Swedish out at other companies in Stockholm. And I found Mentimeter. I was recommended by a colleague at a previous job, and she told me, you're a teacher, you should probably check this out. And I started using Mentimeter in my teaching. I used it, I think, almost every class that I taught. And once I started using it, I couldn't really stop because my students were loving it so much, and they were almost like waiting for the Mentimeter quiz. I used the quiz back then. So I knew about the app for a very long time, and I had used it like for many years, and then I stopped teaching. I went back to studying a bit, and then after I was done with my studies, my master's degree, I found Mentimeter again while I was working as a game show host. So another small gig I did for about a year. I hosted game shows at a local event place in Stockholm, and we had a collaboration with Mentimeter. And then I was reminded by, oh yeah, I used to use this, and I saw that they had grown immensely since I started using it, and I then joined Mentimeter, and that was 2 years ago that I started working here.
Wow, splendid. So you've got this wide variety of experience, a game show host, you're into education, and now you've brought those skills, which are obviously transferable, the soft skills, into being an educational content creator.
Correct.
Splendid, fantastic. Well, let's look at a bit of the functionality of Mentimeter. So let's start off with surveys. So how can we use surveys in Mentimeter?
So as you mentioned earlier, before we go into the survey part, Mentimeter has a bunch of different use cases, and they all kind of come together in terms of enabling the audience to make their voice heard. And that's what we believe in. We believe in the power of together. We believe that better decisions can be made when you properly involve the audience. And one way to do that is with, as you're mentioning here, the surveys. Here is a survey. This is actually a real survey that we use at Mentimeter after our big meetings. So this is something you can set up easily, and this is four questions here that we have, 4 slides. And what I do here is I create questions, and then I can send this out to my colleagues at the company. And now we have no answers in this one yet, but I'm asking here, did you participate remotely from the office? And then here I'm allowing the audience to rate the meeting, what they thought of it, and if they have any other comments. and then finally what they would like to hear about in the future. So I've created this survey here, and I can then share this link with my audience, copy that link, send it out to everybody, and then when the votes start coming in, I get everything in one place and beautifully visualized as well. Here, I'm just using some test votes to see how this looks. But I think this is really also a really beautiful thing with Menti, is that this visualization, right? Surveys, usually you get a big Excel or just a bunch of numbers, and you don't really get a feel for what it is. Yeah, sure, I can see, 30 people said that, 32 said that, and 52 said that. But here, I just get it, straight on. I can see, okay, 62 people were remote and 39 were in the arena or the office. And then this is just one of the questions. Moving on, I'll get full feedback here. Here, the test votes are shifting, obviously, to show that. But this really enables me to, with this visualization, and also get instant feedback on the meeting that we just had. And obviously, there's value to me as a creator or as a facilitator for these meetings. But this goes also beyond just that. I can then use this in other meetings when I'm talking about this meeting, right? And I say, okay, previously we've seen a bit lower rate on content, but it looks like the tempo has been going up lately, and so forth. So this is really, really powerful. And we don't only have these, voting questions. We also have free text input. So we use this in combination with the other ones. So you get a high level overview, and then you can go into detail here with other comments. Once again, these are just test votes, so it doesn't really make sense here, but this gives you an idea of just the breadth of Mentimeter. You can get these quick visualizations and then go a bit deeper as well. And then I like to end with this is just a fun word cloud. I think people might have seen this one. It's a very popular slide type. Obviously, this might be more fun to use in a live setting rather than as a survey, right? But it works as well. And obviously, the more answers we have here, the bigger the word, and so forth.
Wow. Now,
so that is it. Yeah, that is one of many use cases for Menti with the surveys here.
Splendid. Now, the other thing is, I noticed there, it says at the top, go to menti.com and use this particular code. So maybe you can explain how this code works with engaging the audience.
Absolutely. And for this, I'm going to switch presentations here. I have a few of my favorite showcases here. And this one is actually one that we have votes in already. So I'm going to go and present this. And this is, I would say, one of the more normal use cases for Menti is in a live setting, right? So I would then present this. And the beautiful thing is, as we saw earlier with the test votes, but once I do this live, the audience can join with their phones and vote on this presentation. And that's where we have that code. So menti.com, and then you have the code here, 4149. And this is an automatically generated code. It just shows up there. I like to use the QR code as well,
Right. Okay.
Which is just a smoother way. I mean, let me actually do it live here to show you. So I just hold my phone up like that, and then we can go back to the question, and then I, as an audience member, I'm able to answer this right here. So I've been working mostly from the office, and I'm going to click that, and we can see a small little shift there.
Great.
And then these images are just for fun, right? So
yeah,
you can add those if you like.
Yeah, the not just adding the images on the actual bars, but you could change the background. You've got dark blue as a background color. You could use an image instead if you wanted to, right?
Absolutely. I could change a lot of things. One really nice thing is that with our themes, I can even change this little logo up here. We see the Mentimeter up here, right?
Right.
I can go in here, and I'm going to go to themes. And here's a webinar I did for IKEA. And if I change that, we actually get the company logo up in the corner on all slides.
Very impressive.
So this is super easy to do. And the nice thing is that this also shows up in the phone. You get the IKEA logo or whatever logo you want to have.
Impressive, very impressive. Now, maybe you can give an idea of how we can analyze trends. We've got all this data, so
Yeah.
how can we use it to analyze a trend?
So there are a few ways in which you can analyze trends. One that is super powerful, and once again, these presentations I'm showing here, we use these all the time internally at Mentimeter as well. And that is back to the slide question type. And I want to just show an example here. So this is, I call this my team management example. So if you're managing a team, right, and you do weekly or monthly check-ins, Mentimeter is a excellent tool for that because you can track the results over each week. So here we see, you know, I'm asking my team in this case, once again, an example question. We made a big difference. Are they happy? And they can rate this, you know, 1 to 10, personal development and stress. And since I'm using the same presentation here, I can click on this little button here. It's a bit hidden, but small but powerful. And voila, I can measure the results over time.
Impressive.
So this would be, let's say this is a weekly session that we do. Yes, this is fantastic. For once again, for if you are a leader or if you are a facilitator of these types of meetings, you really can get the raw data in a very visualized way here. So if I were to do this every week, I can see, okay, week 1, let's see here. It was pretty stressful, right? It was up at 8 or 9, but then it went down, you know, and at the same time, personal development went up as stress went down. So, I mean, you can analyze all kinds of things here. Team happiness, slowly on its way up, and big difference. I think that kind of correlates with the stress in a way, maybe. So yeah, this is I would say one of the more powerful ways to look at trends. And then you can, of course, let me hide that. You can, of course, look at here, for example, I am asking, so here's another slide where, once again, with those images, and here I can view the trends here. This looks a little messed up because I changed the question, but I can view trends and I can also view the history of the different sessions. So session 11, we had a majority who only voted. Session 9, no voters on that one. Session 8, we had one there. So you can track the individual sessions as well here, as with the trends.
Oh, wonderful. Simply splendid. And this adds obviously to this collaboration, to this interactivity. Now you've got this co-editing function, which helps increase engagement. Can you explain that a bit?
Yes. Once again, another thing that we use every week in Mentimeter. So I'm gonna actually move to, this is a presentation that I held 65 minutes ago. We have our weekly all hands meeting called the Menti Listen Show, and this is the actual presentation that we used. And before we went live here, I think it was this Monday, I created this presentation. So I made just a few slides. And then I was able to invite collaborators. So I click on this tab, and here I have invited all the speakers to the meeting. Maybe all of them weren't speakers here, but Keenan, Anna, Johnny, and Emma spoke. And then we have co-editors and copywriters who go in and tweak the text, right? So when I made this presentation, I had 3 slides, but at the end now, before we went live, this was 35 slides, and that was the whole meeting, right? And then during the show, we had the agenda, of course. We looked at the speakers, and then we showed a little video to our new recruitment video. You can play videos directly in Mentimeter. So that's another beautiful thing. We're keeping everything in one place here. Otherwise, you know, you have one presenter doing this, another presenter taking their slides here, and then you go back. But here, everything is in one place, and we can just present it, and then the different speakers come up and take their part. And we're of course using these questions, right, to include the audience and make everybody feel engaged, because that's really what is at the core of the product. Yes, this collaboration is absolutely important, but when it comes down to the actual meeting moment, we want the audience input. We invite them to join. They go to menti.com, everybody's voting, they're getting their voice heard, and it's a truly, that is the truly collaborative experience.
When you're sharing stuff amongst, say, three people who are doing the announcement, they obviously have the same URL, and one person is showing their screen. For example, you've got one person A has a slide up, person B can't show their slide at the same time, correct?
Correct. There's a lot of once again, we really understand that we're dealing with a very crucial moment for a lot of people, which is the presenting moment, right? You're in front of a crowd, you have eyes all over you, or on you, and it's a nerve-wracking moment for anybody, even for me. I mean, I get nervous. I speak in front of people all the time. And then you obviously want it to work and want it to be really clean and simple. So if all these collaborators here, for example, all of these people, they're in the same thing, but as soon as somebody presses present, so I just press present up there and I'm presenting, nobody else can present. Okay. You're blocked from it and nothing happens. So we have our meetings in a hybrid fashion. So I will present from my screen, and then either we have speakers live who come in and then they talk about their slides, or we have remote people who are in the same presentation but talk about their stuff. And they can there is something that they can use to go with go to the next slide, which is the Menti mode. This is a bit of advanced functionality, but they can control the presentation once it's presented.
I really like the idea that this is an extension of interactivity, not just with the audience, but also with your coworkers. So that's important to know, to understand. And the second thing that's very important is this is not just an online application. You can also use it in person or both at the same time, like a hybrid environment. So that's really, really good too. Splendid.
Absolutely.
Now, you've got a worldwide audience, obviously. The big question is, does Mentimeter allow for different languages? And if so, how many?
Yes, we have a bunch of languages available. So I'll show you once again. I love to show more than I do tell. So I'm going to click up here and I'm going to click settings. And then if I go down to the presentation language, I can choose from a pretty good variety of languages. Obviously not all of them. But we support different alphabets. We support a range of different characters. Let's do, what's a good one? Maybe we can do Catalan. Let's do Hindi, for example. So what happens here, and this is important to know, is that the editor, what we're seeing now, this will stay in English. But since our main focus is for the audience, the voting experience, the editor will still be in English, but the voting experience will be in the local language that you want. And of course, as an editor, you can always add different text. Let me see if I can find an example here. So the editor is going to be in English, but you can add any language you want, like in the actual presentation. I did a webinar for teachers, and I wanted to show this. And here we have, for example, I'm asking, how do you say bread in Arabic? And the answers here are halib, asir, khubz, asal. So this totally works. Sure. I'm a big fan of trying to find ways of using Mentimeter, and I don't want to call breaking it, but like finding new creative ways to use it. And I have actually, one of my favorite slide types is called pin on image, which is super simple. You just put a pin on an image and that's it. And a very common use case that I use in webinars. So this is a fun question where I do webinars for global audiences, and I ask them, where are you right now? And they can, once again with the QR code, and this is online, so I'm doing this in a remote setting, but this would work live as well. And they come in and they put a pin on that image, and it looks like this with the test votes. They come up one by one and they get grouped. But these are real votes. So this is 14 people from 3 out of 5 continents at least.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Maybe you can show us also
Yeah.
how Mentimeter works in conjunction with PowerPoint.
Yes. So obviously that's a lot of people come in from that direction, right? We're used to using PowerPoint, we see it everywhere, and we're very familiar with it. And what I usually say when people want to use PowerPoint is that they don't need to use PowerPoint, because you can create beautiful and lovely looking slides directly in Mentimeter. So instead of using PowerPoint and going back and forth between Mentimeter and PowerPoint, you can create really beautiful and dynamic presentations directly in Mentimeter. And just these are once again examples, but you can add headings like this. You can add your images straight to Mentimeter, and where you have your headings and your subheadings and your meta text. You can add moving images as well to Menti. And then the beautiful thing is when you have everything in one place, you can mix it with audience interaction, right? So you make sure to keep the audience engaged and listening to what you're saying, because you're inviting them, right? And you do a check-in. Here's once again, this is a popular question here. Where have you been working from? And then you go back to your content, right? And here, this is a heading slide with an image, and then here are all the different ways, and you can add text, and here are the languages again, right? The different languages you can use. You could put a big text in your slides. You can add background images. So we have so much of this functionality directly in the app. And this is, by the way, free for everybody, and in all accounts, you can use these slides. And you can really make it look nice and collected and very unified with the rest of your presentation. And once again, we'll have that logo up there that I showed earlier with these slides. Yeah, another image, right? You can also, there are a few ways that you can use Menti with PowerPoint, and one is simply importing your presentations. So you can import PowerPoint, PDF, or Keynote presentations straight into Menti, and it looks, here's a video of me, it looks like this. So this is an imported PowerPoint slide.
Good.
And everything, unfortunately, animations don't come, won't be imported, but you'll get the full slides, and you can get, here's another one, also this one. So you can really include stuff. And if you want to create some movement, you can add these little emojis to your presentation, and have people go in and give a thumbs up or a heart or whatever they like to do.
Wow, nice, great.
And then finally, we also integrate with PowerPoint. So if you have a PowerPoint presentation, you can also import a Mentimeter question. But unfortunately, that is a bit that you can only do a few questions, and I recommend using Mentimeter instead of PowerPoint, and that if you're going to use them together.
All right, splendid. And I've seen obviously it used with Zoom and Teams.
Yes. So we offer a few different types of integration. Yeah, so we have the integration with PowerPoint. We also work with Hopin now, as well as Microsoft Teams and Zoom. So for Zoom, we have an app that you can download. And the beautiful thing there is, here's a good screenshot of it. So the presenter is able, you don't need your phone to vote in that presentation. The Zoom will automatically give you the presentation and the voting.
Very nice.
I'll show you quickly what it would look like. For example, on Zoom here, you would have the presenter screen, seeing the video, and then you would also get the audience screen where you can vote on that presentation.
Wow.
So, and then you could submit, and then that comes up live.
Fascinating.
So that is the Zoom, and the Microsoft Teams integration works in a similar way, where you have, here's another example, where you have a check-in meeting and you get that voting right next to the presentation. So it's very nice. I recommend, it takes a little time to just set it up, but once you have it going, you could just present every meeting and just show your Zoom, your Mentimeter presentations in Zoom.
Splendid. It's when we were talking about different ways of communicating, this is a fascinating example of just that. Different applications integrating with one another, you're interacting with the audience, collaborating with them on projects, and all done from one application, Mentimeter. Simply splendid. Absolutely fascinating. My big question here is, I want to try out the product. Is there a free version that one can use to do that?
Yes, there is. We have a free version, and I dare to say that the free version will be always kept free. So just go ahead and try it out. If you take a quick look at our plans, we have the free version, costs nothing, no credit card, nothing like that. The limit here is that you can have up to 2 questions. And you can have 5 quiz slides if you want that as well. We haven't even looked at the quiz, which was my original Swedish teaching use case, right? Where it's a really fun way to really engage your audience, because you can see the votes coming in live and you score points and all of that. But the nice thing with the free version is that you get an unlimited audience and unlimited presentations. So you can just keep creating as many presentations as you like. And we actually have a lot of teachers who've been on the free version forever because they just figured it out, right? And they use it for what they need. But then also, if you see the value of Menti, we have the basic version, which allows you for unlimited presentations, and then we get to the Pro and Enterprise, and this is where I would say like the full value of Menti comes in, where you can use this collaboration thing that we talked about and co-create with your colleagues and really get everybody's collective intelligence into one single thing. And you mentioned it several times, Marcus, and I think that's a great summary. Like, our whole meeting is in this URL. This is everything you need to know straight here. And I can also send this link to the meeting participants, and they can view it again from a an audience view. So they won't be able to edit it, but they can see the content. And that is just so smooth. Like, with the amount of tools we use today, I think I read somewhere that people use up to 80 sauces on average in big businesses today. So I think with Menti, you could just, yes, it's another sauce, but it solves so much of that, like, collaboration, and especially when it comes to meetings and also sharing of information, because I could just boom, share this link and everybody can see the meeting again.
Yeah, no, it's spectacular. And what I really like too is you're not taking it with you on a USB key. It's just there in the cloud. So you can do it at work, you can do it at home, you can do it at the airport, and you can still do that editing when you're on the go.
Exactly. And everything is saved automatically. I don't know how many times I've had to like log in at a friend's computer at midnight because they wanted to have a quiz at a party I was at. You know what I mean? And otherwise there would be no quiz because I have the thing on my USB, but give me a browser and I'll host the quiz for you.
Yeah,
I mean, that right there is just super nice.
Just one last question before you leave us for the day. I'm curious,
Yeah.
How can the audience get in touch with you if they want to do so?
Yes, please get in touch. I am a huge fan of languages, as you've heard, but also, of course, of presentations and how to really create inclusive experiences. So I'd love to talk more about that. I think that the quickest way to find me is via LinkedIn, or that's at least the one that I'm most frequently visiting. So search for me, Oscar Svernlov, on LinkedIn, and just ping me, and I'm ready to chat. I can also share my email with you, Marcus, and you can put it in the description below if anybody has any questions.
Certainly, that would be great. And we can't forget, most importantly, you want to use Mentimeter, it's mentimeter.com.
Correct. So if you want to use it, it's Mentimeter, Mentimeter.com. When you want to vote for a presentation, when you're in the audience and you want to send in your votes, then we have another website, which is menti.com.
Okay.
So there's a bit of confusion around this, but it's really clear. The long one is for the presenter, and the short one is for the audience.
Okay.
And you'll also see when you get to it that here's a code, and this is where you can go to your presentations and create new ones and sign up, of course.
Well, thank you, Oscar, for coming on the show. This is a
Thank you, Marcus.
highly advanced, it can be a very sophisticated software if you use all the functionality, or you can use the simpler version, but it definitely is a software that not only engages the audience, but brings in this element of collaboration with coworkers and the audience. And being a cloud app, you can use it from anywhere in the world. Absolutely splendid. Thank you for coming on the show, Oscar.
Thank you so much, Marcus. It's been a blast. I really enjoyed showing some cool use cases here today. Yeah.
Well, on that note, thank you very much once again for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Marcus.
All right, take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye. And now a word from our sponsors. The Lewis Institute provides an enterprise project management program that does more than just train PMs. It helps support them from the CEO level on down. These courses help certify project leaders and prepare them to pass the PMP exam.